Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's December already. Can you believe it? Like the year is like wore by. All those things you said you were gonna do at the beginning of last year. How many of them did you really get done?
Good
That's the
question.
question. That's the question, right? Do we write them down and do we check them off if we did them? Or do we just say, I'm charged up for 2025 and I'm going to eh, and then you go back to those bad habits, or you break those bad habits and change it. Man, we're talking about the purpose beyond self today. Jay Jackson, how are you today, man? Let me just check on you.
I'm doing very, very well. I'm updating my to-do list to put all the 2025 stuff into 2026 that I didn't get done. So
Absolutely. So, if you say you're going to try something, take that out of your vocabulary, because one good friend of mine said trying isn't doing. So just do it.
Yeah.
I guess Nike made a big slogan with that, huh?
Yeah.
We have a very special guest joining us. If you've never tuned into the Chicken Box before, it is powered by the 133-year-old Afro-American. Used to be a newspaper. We are now a media company. We transformed just like the typewriter went out the door, just like whiteout went out the door. I guess the paper is still there to a few subscribers, but the digital world is upon us, people. And if you don't get on board, you're going to get left and you'll be like an old newspaper in the back of somebody's car. Or if you're in Baltimore, you'll be on the table and they'll be eating crabs on you. Anyway, I can't wait to get to today's conversation. The purpose beyond yourself. Man, I always say don't be selfish. So I hope that fits in right there. Jay, who do we have joining us on the box today?
Okay. Today we have Itse Ayonmike, who otherwise is known as Dynamic Itse, is the originator of the Warriologic Universe. This system is a powerful framework for disciplined self-mastery rooted in the core principles of identity, resilience, and purpose. His life's journey, spanning 3 continents, Nigeria, the United Kingdom, and the United States, has forged a global perspective and an unwavering commitment to community elevation. A former British kickboxing champion, Itse's extensive martial arts background is the foundation for his philosophy of strength and clarity. He holds a university degree in events and experience design from the University of Kent. As an author, his multiple works focus on personal transformation and cultivation of disciplined living. Itse is the co-founder of the Dynamic Itse and Master Wong Prodigy Project in the United Kingdom, where he actively mentors young martial artists and anti-bullying ambassadors. Further demonstrating his commitment to social impact, he established the Green Hope Trust in Nigeria, a grassroots movement dedicated to supporting underserved families and youth. Through his writing, coaching, and community initiatives, Itse empowers individuals to claim a sovereign identity and create a meaningful impact. Welcome to the show, Itse.
Thank you so very much for a very warm welcome. With a heart suffused with delight and honor, it is a privilege to be here. Thank you very much. I look forward to our conversation.
Excellent.
Man, the Dynamic Itse. Used to have that dynamic duo back then when Batman and Robin used to be on TV. But I know Itse. I got some friends that are Itse. You probably have a long name that all of us mess up, so you probably made it Itse. But the dynamic part of it, where did that come from, Itse?
So I became Dynamic Itse when it was given to me by a group of friends, because my nature is continuously moving and I'm continually seeking enlightenment, progress, and I'm full of adventure. So quite simply, my name is Itse and I'm a dynamic person, hence Dynamic Itse.
I love it because, when I look at the word dynamic, it's like full of energy, full of new ideas. And you pretty much summed it up right there. Spent several times because a lot of people, we haven't had, I think, a kickboxing champion or kickboxing trainer or instructor on this show yet. How did you start out even wanting to do kickboxing, or what led you to the field of martial arts or the discipline study?
I came across Enter the Dragon by Bruce Lee when I was about 7 years old, growing up in Nigeria. And from that moment, I knew what I wanted to do with my life. But as it turns out, I was puny. I was the ragdoll of choice for a lot of companions around me, and I got bullied quite a lot. But I kept saying to myself, after watching wrestling on television, I don't know if anyone remembers a guy called Mighty Igor. I mean, wrestling from way back.
Yeah. Like Chief J.
And,
Strongbow and all those.
yeah, and I used to watch Mighty Igor and Tex McKenzie, and I used to say to myself, one day I'm going to go abroad to where these white people are, and I'm going to become a champion. And when I do, I'm going to come back and I'm going to sort all these bullies out.
Fair enough.
So that's where the passion came from. When I saw how one man could do some training, say he lost a fight, and then he went to his coach, he did a lot of training, and he came back and he took revenge. And I thought, this is possible. So it left an impression that I could work hard and make a difference with my present state. That's how it started. Many years later, in my teenage years, I saw another movie, Kickboxer by Jean-Claude Van Damme, and
Classic.
I was hooked. There was no kickboxing at that time in Nigeria, so I got some sacks, put some sawdust in it, hung it up in my daddy's garage, and trained myself by watching his movies. And then when I got to 19 years old and went to the UK, I joined a club, and 12 months later, I was British champion. It was a dream come true.
12 months.
Yes.
How long were you training in Nigeria?
I was training in Nigeria, and then after training myself in kickboxing techniques, I actually found a coach who trained me for about a year in Kung Fu first for a few months, and then karate. And then I left to the UK. But when I joined the club, I was just so focused and obsessed. That was the word, obsessed with my training. And I met lots of people at the club. But the thing is, after doing the training on any particular day, I would go home and practice everything we had done all week until it was time to go back to next week. So I was just so focused and bent on achieving something. So it took 12 months from when I had my first fight was in November 1998. And in November 1999, I won my first British title.
Congratulations. Nice. Dynamic-ish. Guess what? When I go to the UK on this weekend, I'm gonna just tell them I don't want any trouble. I'm gonna have to call my man Dynamic-ish to come sort some things out over there in the UK. Jay, jump in, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So you described the Warriologic system as being rooted, as I said up front, in identity, resilience, and purpose. How do these three principles work together to support what you were referring to as like self-mastery?
So now, Warriologic, right? It's a philosophical ideology where clarity, strategic self-governance, disciplined motion, and elegant expression form the framework for personal transformation. Now, it was born out of three words. Warri is the city where I come from in Delta State of Nigeria, Warri. Warri, so that pertains to my heritage. Warrior pertains to my history as regards my martial arts and kickboxing, and logic pertains to a way of thinking. So I came up with the word Warriologic. And it is really supposed to teach people to understand the forces that make our lives, like your character, your choice, your community, and your circumstance. So it involves lots of different aspects like trials, pillars, and obviously tenets. So it has 33 tenets. Now, the
Hmm.
33 tenets of Warriologic are the fragmental intricacies that form the scaffolding upon which the whole philosophy is built. Six trials of Warriologic. These are transformative challenges that purify and strengthen the warrior's spirit. And the 9 pillars, those are the core principles which ground and guide the warrior's path. Now, I say warrior and fight and all that, but it has got very little to do with fighting, and more like, think about it like we say every day is life's battle. So
Right.
all of us are warriors within our own existence.
Mhm.
And Warriologic is thinking like a strategist and taking every day like a battle.
Mm.
Excellent, excellent. And did you come up with, just as a quick follow up? Did you have any sort of outside basis for these tenets and the pillars, or was this all created as you're sort of going through your life and you've kind of learned about these things, or did you have were you using another system even in your fighting and you kind of were basing it upon that?
So I've had a very colorful life, to say the least. I've had lots of good and lots of bad experiences. So, and having lived on 3 continents, what I've seen across all 3 continents is people wrestle with the same struggles. And
Mhm.
also, they carry the same strengths wherever you go.
Right.
So, Warriologic was born from these experiences. It was built to help us navigate the complications of everyday life. And I use my experiences a lot because I didn't write this because I did everything right. And I do not know as much as it pertains to tell that I do. The fact is, I actually constantly live by the rules I've set. And when I fall short of my own expectations, I go back to the codex for direction. So
Mhm.
I didn't write this because I know everything and I'm just so perfect. I wrote it because I've made so many mistakes, and I use it as well as I intend for anyone else to use it. Now, the codex, it exists because of trial number 6 of all 6 trials. And this is the trial of return. This is where your growth becomes service, uplifting others through what you've learned. So if someone's able to learn from my mistakes, and then they don't have to make it for themselves, that's what I hope.
Right. No, that makes total sense. What do they say? You know, be the shoulders that other people stand on. That sort of idea, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
If you just tuned in, you guys, this is the Chicken Box, powered by the Afro News. That's right, the oldest Black family-owned media company in the world, until refuted, 133 years old. And we appreciate the fact that we're able to have conversations with dynamic people like Ish all around the world, and to garner some other experiences. Especially, I love the 3 continent connection, Ish, because it gives you a different perspective. If sometimes, guys, if you haven't traveled abroad, it might be good to go get your passport and see how the other part of the world lives, but you'll find the common thread of people. It's going to be pretty much the same. You're going to have some nice ones, some ugly ones, some, you know, you're going to encounter some of the same people, but some of the cultures will be, you know, very refreshing as you get in and outside of the place that you are, because we have people listening from all over the world. And we thank you for your support here at the Afro. Go to afro.com. Check us out. We have beautiful news about the beautiful people of color all around the world on a daily basis, up to the hour news. And man, we are owned 100% by African Americans. So nobody can change our voice. Nobody can tell us what we can broadcast or who we can talk to. And it's all because of you. We have new reporters at HBCUs. We're doing a program right now, 133 for $133,000 to get some students from HBCUs to have an experience in journalism and media. So please go to afro.com. Whether it's $3, it's $13, it's $133. Or if you're the billionaire out there and it's $133 million, donate, because it's all about supporting our culture and giving a voice for the voiceless. Now back to the I can't even pronounce Warriologic Codex. Okay, now if somebody just watching and you broke down, I love how you took where you from, the warrior inside and outside, and the logic. What is code? Like if somebody never heard Codex, what would they think when they what is Codex? Break it down.
So when I wrote this initially, so what it is, that's what the philosophy is. I explained what the philosophy is. Now the work, the piece of work, the Warriologic Codex, that is, it's not just I call it a blade, not just a book. It's more than a book. I call it a blade. It's kind of like
back to it. You said you go back to it, like when you when you're off of your game, you go back.
Yes, let me explain. So it has, first of all, so the full name is the Warriologic Codex, and the subtitle is subheading 33 Tenets of Limitless Power, Surgical Purpose, and Poetic Precision. So it's more like a mythic code of conduct for the modern sovereign. And I say it's a blade, and that's not just a metaphorical definition. It's actually a functional explanation of what the vessel is, because a codex, unlike a mere book, is a vessel of information, transformation, and knowledge. So it is, the work is a non-fictional body of work that fuses warrior ethos, personal stories, autobiographical transformation, and it also fuses numerological structure into a ritualized system of self-mastery. That's exactly what it is. Now, the triad of mastery, that's limitless power, surgical purpose, poetic precision. So limitless power has nothing to do with your muscles here. We're talking about the unbound potential within, harness for growth. Or if you're a Star Wars fan, like Master Yoda might say, within limitless power lies, harness it for growth. One must. Now, surgical purpose is focused intention that guides every action with clarity and precision. And poetic precision is the performance of difficult activities with ease, panache, and a bit of flair. Kind of like Muhammad Ali dancing around and having the fight of his life with insurmountable odds with someone like Judge Foreman, but still making it look beautiful. That's poetic. That's poetic precision. And then the 6 trials of Warriologic, right? It's very numerological, like I said. 6 trials. The first one is reflection. Confront your past to extract truth and eliminate illusion. And then we have as well resistance, and then rebellion, restraint, ritual, and return. And then we have 9 pillars. The 9 pillars are things like spiritual grounding, temporal awareness. I'll just mention a few. And then it has 33 tenets. Now, these 33 tenets, it's like, I'm not going to belittle the holy book, but you can imagine like the 10 Commandments, rules on how to live. But these are 33 tenets. Now, I haven't invented anything. Right. I've just repurposed them. So when I fall short of my own expectations, I refer to the codex and look upon a certain tenet or the other to try and find direction. So the codex is a blade because it can cut, but it can also sharpen, and it can cut away distractions, and it can sharpen your clarity. It's also a mirror because you confront yourself. Tenet number 6 says we hold ourselves ruthlessly accountable. No lies, no blame, no soft mirrors. Discipline begins in truth, and we never flinch. And then it's also a shield to protect your sanity. Anyway, just a few.
I think that's great. Well, unfortunately, because there are 33 tenets, we obviously can't go through all of them. But I do appreciate the idea of the sort of the scaffolding of this, right? Where you're using your experiences, I'm sure both inside and outside of the ring, and also just your general life experience, right? To kind of come up with what I would say is what a lot of people unfamiliar with what you're doing exactly can probably understand it as self-mastery, right? Trying to keep yourself on whatever this particular path for you is, right? And trying to deal with situations that come up. From that, let me ask you, you founded the Green Hope Trust in Nigeria. One, can you tell us more details about that, and sort of what are the challenges and opportunities that you may have run into trying to start a grassroots organization in Nigeria versus maybe starting these other organizations elsewhere in the world?
So that Green Hope Trust came about in a very, very simple manner. When I was a teenager, I used to hang out with, if you pardon my expression, the downtrodden. So I was a child of privilege growing up in Nigeria, and my parents were rather affluent. So I had quite a privileged upbringing. But that didn't stop me from hanging around with children who were seen to be less fortunate than myself. I found them a lot more interesting than kids who were on par with my status, so to speak. Because hanging around with these kids who had nothing and lived in mud houses, they built their own toys. They went in rubbish dumps and they scavenged for all kinds of things. And I learned how to build things. I learned to go in the forest with them and set traps to snakes and lizards and all kinds of different things and birds. And it was just so we went fishing and hunting. And the other kids, like myself, they sat indoors watching TV and playing Monopoly. And I found that really boring. So many years later, after becoming British champion, I went back to Nigeria, and it started out pretty easily. I first of all went on my social media and said to my audience to give me old clothes, old shoes, books, whatever, anything. And I just got inundated with lots of goodies, which I put on a cargo flight and sent ahead of me to Nigeria. So I went back to this impoverished neighborhood that I used to hang out as a child, and I dished out the things there. I was overwhelmed with the kind of reception I got. And by now I was giving things to the children of the people I used to hang out with. I was blown away by, things like over here, people just use a pair of shoes or a book and they just throw it away. Those things are brand new when you come to, they look like brand new when you take them to impoverished neighborhoods in certain parts of the world. And I was just shocked. Like, I couldn't believe that they just looked at them like gold. I was like, people around here don't even know how privileged they are. These are things that people throw away. So that's how it started. So I went ahead and I enjoyed the effect it had on the people. So I decided to get registered as an organization. And since then, I have been back on this mission about 8 different occasions. Absolutely. Doing the same thing.
So in Nigeria, where do you fly into in Nigeria?
Lagos.
Oh, Lagos. Okay. It's a beautiful city.
Yes, it is.
So let me ask you, so piggybacking on that, is the Green Hope Trust, is that just simply sort of an ability to kind of get clothes and supplies and things like that to more impoverished areas of Nigeria? Is that the overarching goal of it, or did you find that was just kind of how it started and then it sort of expanded out from there?
That's how it started. So presently, I'm looking to enrich the lives of more children by trying to get scholarships and other means of improvement in their lives. So it started out just as bringing things back home. But let me mention something. This is really important. So when I went back, and after a few trips, I realized what I was doing wasn't just giving, in my eyes, these were old clothes, books, shoes, toys, whatever. But it was a lot more than that, because I learned those things pale in comparison to the actual gift I believe I took back, which is an idea that you could come from this place and return as a champion, not a champion of kickboxing, but as someone championing improvement in life and being kind of a beacon. Because the kids there, their parents and I used to hang out as kids, and it was fantastic to see that I was received as one of theirs, but looked at as something to aspire to. So that was very important for me.
So the beacon. Okay, go ahead, Jay.
No, I was just going to simply say, I was wondering how they received you, but you mentioned that. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, so let's get to the kids. I saw something about the anti-bullying. I know you become a beacon. How, if somebody's watching this now and they said, I would love for my child to get involved and connect with you, how does that happen?
So right now, I'm on the verge of starting the United States anti-bully program. So it's a spin-off from one of my books. The second book in the series is the Warriologic Codex 2, and that's called Cadet Strategy, a young leader's manual. Now, within this book, there are so many facets that a young leader could take into cognizance for self-improvement and self-mastery. So these books are all multifaceted. The books have apps that go with them, and they also have programs that are developed from them. So the USA Anti-Bully Project is going to be launched with the second book in the series, which is Cadet Strategy. And anyone who is interested can get hold of me through my social media handles.
Absolutely. And
which we've been running on the bottom of the screen, by the way.
We'll put that back. Connect.
Fantastic.
Connect with them, because a lot of times, I don't know if it's still a big thing, because it went out when my kids were coming through. The digital bullying is sometimes is just as bad as the guy trying to take your lunch money in school. So have you noticed the digital bullying ish?
I have a whole scroll. So my codex, right? It doesn't have chapters. It has scrolls. So I have a whole scroll from top to bottom that deals with cyberbullying and that deals with child safety online when it comes to sex exploitation and stuff like that. So it's very comprehensive. It's extremely comprehensive. There's another program that's called the Guardian Initiative. The Guardian Initiative expressly addresses sexploitation online and online bullying.
Excellent.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I think people may, older generations may think that online bullying isn't as serious because it's on the internet. Like, how real is it? It's extremely real, and it's relentless for some kids. Kids, they end up, even once you leave school, it doesn't stop, right? So it's great that you're taking that seriously, and that's a part of your program. I think it's a largely overlooked situation until it becomes so bad that terrible things happen. So I think it's a good idea to be ahead of that.
Thank you. It's very sad to say that a lot of very serious negative consequences have arisen from online bullying, and I have seen it firsthand.
Absolutely.
Even up to the ultimate sacrifice for a young person. So it's a very real threat. Not everyone has the temerity of mind to deal with abuse, even just being verbal or online. So it's a serious issue. Yes, you're quite right.
Yeah, because that energy transfers outside of the digital space, and if in fact those people are in the same proximity, it can turn into, like you said, something unfortunate that could have probably been avoided. But it was, people get behind these digital spaces and think that they can say anything to anybody now because it's so much access, in DMs and messaging and posts, that it becomes, quite a distraction, even for adults as well. And sometimes, like when a person is getting dragged digitally, they say the internet is undefeated. Like the internet is the champion out there. What have you found that through your work to defeat the champion when the internet gets after you?
The internet is right now is just as real as standing and talking in front of another person. Words are powerful, be it written down, spoken, or a video, or on the phone. Words are very powerful. It's like casting a spell, needless to say. That's why the making up of words is called spelling. So when someone says a thing, there's a very thin line between breaking someone and making someone. I've experienced it a lot in my life. And not everyone has the strength of mind to turn negativity into something good, but I've done that a lot of times. So I always advocate that people do not live within their feelings. Instead,
very true.
Think above it. Now, I'll give you a very simple example. If I'm walking down the road and someone says to me, "Oi, John," I'm not going to turn around and I'm not going to acknowledge it. I probably don't even realize they're talking to me. So he's made a mistake and he's called me John and I don't turn around. I say to people the same thing. If someone says to you, "Oi, you're an idiot," and starts to say something nasty to you, and you totally ignore it and walk ahead, in a lot of cases, it's defeated. Because if I turn around to you and say, why would you say that to me? Why are you calling me that? I've accepted it. So if I give you a gift and you refuse the gift, who does the gift belong to? It's left with me. If you throw me an insult and I do not acknowledge it, I've left it with you. But you see, our ego doesn't let us do that a lot of times. But what's it worth? And what are you going to gain?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, it's easier said than done, right? Because we're all human beings. But I think that's a very good philosophy, is to just kind of move past it. Yeah, I agree. I try to teach my daughter that. It's not easy though.
No, not easy at all. It takes a lot of practice. So I learned this, and I've nowhere near got it perfect yet. I'm still working at it. So I tell my students in martial arts, if you fight and win, you're going to prison. If you fight and lose, you're going to the hospital. So in any case, martial arts is for physical prowess, enjoyment, fun, and in the ultimate case, self-defense, not self-attack, self-defense. So someone says to you, "Oi, what are you looking at?" Simply, you. Now the fight's on. But when I be like, "I was just looking at your t-shirt. I love it. They're melted. It's gone. Aggression's done.
Yeah, I've heard that before. You know, a soft answer calms down the storm in the
It does, doesn't it?
in the good book of the Bible. I mean, your pure example just now was clear, right? So the guy who wanted to fight, hey, I do have a nice shirt on. You know, so their whole demeanor has now changed, and so you disarmed them with your words instead of igniting them, pretty much, I guess, with anger. You know, at the same time. I love it. I love it. So, are you giving any online seminars or any online classes that people can jump into?
So the Warriologic Vanguard is, I would say, is a community that's coming together, and it's going to be online shortly. The Warriologic Vanguard is for people who have read the Codex and want to come together and draw strength from each other. And also, it allows us, everyone involved with the Codex, to get information about events and seminars that will be coming along as a result of the book launches.
Okay. So we got to follow you on social media to keep up.
Yeah.
You know, it's coming time. Guys, if you just tuned in, we're talking to the dynamic Ish from Nigeria by way of the UK, now in the wonderful best city in the world, Baltimore. Are you having classes in Baltimore?
No, I'm not teaching. I'm not teaching one-to-one classes at the moment. So what I'm doing is trying to teach globally through my writing now.
I love it. I love it. I love it, man. You're a dynamic personality of positivity, and I mean we're glad to be in your presence and just the things that you bring, for the mindset. The people don't really know how strong their mindset and their mental can be trained to be, to really achieve just about anything. You say you were bullied, you weren't the biggest kid, you made up your mind, you trained off of a video, I mean off of a movie. I loved Into the Dragon, by the way. It was one of my favorites. I used to watch it, and I thought I could do the 1-inch punch and everything else. Kids, we imitate all of those moves. If you grew up in that era, as soon as you saw him, you would try and karate on your friend, and he was like, "Hey, you guys were just fighting." But what you've changed it into is really a new way and a different way to approach life, which I think is dynamic. So, this is the Afro, guys. This is the Chicken Box. Happy December. You have a couple more days to the new year, but you know what? Your new year could start today. Do you ever think about that? Just because they told us New Year's was in January, your new year can be whenever. I know that, is that in the code? It might,
so
it might
there
be.
is a tenet. Sorry. There is a tenet for everything. There's a reason they're 33. So tenet number 32 says, we act decisively without delay. Hesitation kills. Readiness is not enough. We must move. That's tenet number 33.
I know it. I know it was in there.
So, we say a lot of things. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And, many years ago, as a personal trainer, working in a gym for years, in January, the gym is full. Everyone comes there. And then in mid-February, boom, back to normal. Half of them are falling off. Half of them fall off. So procrastination is a real thing.
I agree.
And stick-to-itiveness.
Yes.
Decisiveness and decisionness, if that's a word. But look, we're wrapping up. Go to afro.com, y'all. We're going to have these great conversations with these dynamic people only because you support us. We look for nobody else. We're not even looking to the advertisers. They're beginning, nothing against the advertisers, but all of the DEI cuts and all of the things that they're trying to do to just change the way the landscape is. We can't depend on it. If we don't have each other as a community, we are dead in the water. You hear me? They don't wake up at all and think about us as people of color. And if we don't wake up and think about that ourselves and support our own organizations, our institutions, our businesses, our kids, our communities, our students, our food deserts, all the other things, we are lost people. We might all have to move back to Africa because this place here in the United States is getting a little shaky. That's my personal opinion. Anyway, we're now dynamic-ish. We call this the box, where you get on the box and you speak your truth. And I guess I was just semi on the box on my chicken box and speaking my truth. But I thank you for taking the time to take your life experiences and your training and your championship mentality as congratulations again as one of UK's youngest kickbox champions, I guess, right? That's probably a true fact that at 20.
It was, yes, it was quite an adventure.
Yeah, at that age. And we see all of the mixed martial arts and how it's progressed into a really money sport now, but I don't know if it was like that back then. But we just thank you for your energy. You bring a positive vibe to the screen and to the airways and to the people. Like you said, this is kind of our new reality, being able to touch and speak digitally from anywhere in the world. And we thank you for coming to the Chicken Box and just sharing your beliefs and your mission. And we look forward to whatever you have coming up in the future. So that I'm off the box, guys. Jay Jackson, we'll save you, Dynamic. I want to say Dynamic. I feel like I'm gonna do a jumping jack just when I hear Dynamic, baby.
Thank
Jay
you so
Jackson.
much. It's an absolute privilege. I'm honored.
Absolutely.
We're gonna dynamic ish. We're gonna save you to be on the box at the end, so you will close out. Look, I think the idea of using your experiences, especially if you have a global perspective, I think is super powerful in order to help people achieve what you were referring to as self-mastery, right? This idea of using your failures and your successes as a way to sort of build this scaffolding in life, I think is a thing that anybody can appreciate. And I appreciate that you're using your very unique experiences to do so. I think taking what you've accomplished and what you've learned in these other arenas, and then sort of going back to your roots and helping out people in Nigeria, and also having this sort of, I know your nickname is Dynamic-ish, but this idea of your life is kind of this push and pull, right? You said you were a child of privilege, but you were hanging out with kids who had lesser means, and you learn from them. You weren't just going in and saying, hey, let me teach you what the world is like. You were learning from them, and then to be able to leave and then come back and maybe help their children or the next generations of kids who don't have as much, and be able to bring what you have to them. So you learn as much as you brought back. And I think that's a life lesson that anybody should be able to take away in a positive way. So I appreciate that, and that you learn that sort of in real time. Look, I think your codex, I think, is very admirable. I think it's very cool. And if people can find any sort of ways to get into this sort of positivity mindset, whether it's through martial arts or not, but using this sort of scaffolding system, I think that's beneficial to everybody. I think anyone could benefit from that. So I appreciate your time. That was really great. So it is now your turn to be on the box.
It has been an absolute privilege to speak to you, and I am totally honored to share my thoughts and tell you about my work. And I'm going to close out with two of my tenets. So one of them, tenet number 8, says, we lead, we lift, we serve. Our strength uplifts, never oppresses. So whatever journey we're on, if it doesn't serve someone else after we've gotten somewhere, it is wasted, it is selfish, and it is without any consideration for the universe, which has given us so much already. And then tenet number 33, which is the last tenet, says, we live as if death is near. Mortality fuels mission. We fight, we build, and we serve while there is still time. So every day in my life is a gift. That's why we call it the present. Make use of today. That's all we have. And reach out and help anyone you can, whenever you can. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you.
Fight, we serve, and what was the last one?
We fight, we build, we serve.
Build. All right.
While there is still time.
We fight, build, and serve, y'all. Man, thanks everybody for tuning in. Remember, I always say call a senior. They would love to hear from you. The seniors are the biggest population, or one of them, because they were all baby boomers. And now they're all seniors. So they'd love to hear from you, your aunties, your uncles, your dad, even your dad, your mom, your family, your aunt you haven't called in a while. Just call and say hello. Don't text them, even though they know how to work the text. Maybe FaceTime, maybe, huh? You call them and just let them know you're thinking about them. You want to go beyond that? Send them some food. Even if you're in another city, just send them some groceries. It will change their day, and it will be a wonderful random act of kindness. We're upon the season, the giving season, which should always be the giving season in your life if you have a heart to give. But definitely it is amplified during this time. So remember, go to afro.com. You can give the gift of a digital subscription. For less than 2 Uber Eats, you could have the Afro digitally to your any device delivered to you that you prefer to watch the media. Till next time, Dynamic-ish. I'm coming to your workshop whenever you have it, baby.
All right.
It would be an honor.
Nice to meet you, Jay Jackson. Always a pleasure. And now producer Asia Martin and Dr. Draper, who couldn't be with us. Until next time, God willing, we'll see you soon. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.